So let's give the usual 4 minutes anyway. And Martina will share the screen for Karsten's comments.
Okay.
Hello, Michael. And hi, Richard. Okay, it's 4 past, so let's get started. Welcome everyone to this interim meeting of the core working group. I'm Marco Tivolca, my co-chairs are Ana Jimenez and Karsten Bormann. And of course, not well applied. If you participate in a technical discussion, you're aware of IPR on those work items. You have to disclose those, or otherwise don't engage in the technical discussion. Please be nice with each other. We have only an agenda item for today, DNS over co-op, and we've had the new, well, 2 new versions actually submitted yesterday. The document looks pretty stable already, and Karsten also provided 40 minutes or so before the meeting some comments on the list that we can check. But Martina will run the slot, and thanks Christian already for taking notes. So Martina, the floor is yours.
Yes.
If you want to take
Can
control.
you share my slides?
I can open them and give you control.
Yeah. Okay.
You should have it now.
Yeah. Okay. I basically wanted to give an update on what the new version from yesterday entails. So first of all, there was an update to CoreClar, which since the PR was merged since last time we updated the draft. So basically, we just updated the reference and the wording a little bit to reflect that. Then, as discussed during last interim, I put a reference about DNS update in there, though as far as I could see in Carsten's review, that might not strictly be necessary in a later iteration again. And last, there was some review by ESCO, and the security considerations were amended to reflect this so that the user is aware that the upstream communication with the upstream DNS infrastructure can still be unencrypted, and even that DNSSEC might need to be trusted upon by the doc server because, for example, due to resource constraint, we couldn't do DNSSEC with the client. Yeah, that's already from my side. And I guess we then want to discuss the review by Carsten now, right?
That's right. Before that, any more input or comment on this? Well, latest update, basically, in these points. Heard none. So we can jump on Carsten's part, and I can try to share my screen.
Thank you.
200% zoom. Oh, of course, I had to release your slides first. No, you have to leave it. So, Martina, can you release the slide control? Looks like otherwise I cannot share my screen.
I already deactivated the ask for slides.
So
and
let's try again. Oh, now it's better already.
Yeah.
Whatever. Windows. Let's see. There we are.
Yeah, Meetecho really should learn how to show a web page. Yeah, so you promised 200%.
200%. Yes.
Maybe 400%.
Wow. Let's try this. 300
okay,
now.
Thank you. Yeah, so I had a quick reread of Dash 11, and I think this is very nearly ready for working plus call. So I think we should have a quick respin in the next couple of days and then really go for working group plus call, but that's chair off at the moment. Anyway, the DNS update discussion was really useful. But in the end, it's not just opcode 5 that you would reply to in a way that says we don't support this opcode. So I think it should be made clear right at the start of the document that this is just about DNS queries at the moment. I mean, there's nothing wrong with writing further specifications that include other opcodes and say how this will be done. Probably not using a fetch in the case of DNS update and so on and so on. But this document is just about DNS queries, which means opcode equals 0. So I would do this very early in the document, and then we don't really need a section like 403 because it's like that's clear from the outset that this is a document about DNS queries. Martin.
Yeah, with DNS update, I agree with you that we might want to use the post method for that. But I'm not sure with the other opcodes if they are not already somehow covered because they, as long as they just require a query response pattern, which I believe there's nothing else in DNS, this should work over co-op. So I'm not sure if we want to restrict the draft or the later RFC just to opcode 0 because we didn't implement it, test it yet.
Well, if we didn't implement it and didn't test it, then we should not suggest we know how to do it.
Okay, so but what I was wondering, even when I wrote the DNS update session, is what, like, if we then find out, okay, this is really simple, is then the follow-up RFC just, yes, you can do that?
Yeah, you probably have to put in a little bit more about security. You know, there is some special security stuff for doing DNS update, and we probably need to map this. I mean, you can use it as is, but that's probably not appropriate for constrained use. So we probably need to map this to the security we already have.
Okay, then let's go for the we only support opcode 0 route for now.
Does anybody have a list of opcodes that we can look at?
I mean, there is one in the
registry.
Mirana registry. I can paste it there. If I don't mistype, I can paste it.
Yeah, it's the DNS parameters.
Yeah.
Registry group, and the registry is called DNS opcodes. And we also have status and DNS stateful operations. And I'd rather not touch DNS stateful operations until I know what that is and how we are doing.
DSOs are basically what I described in DNS push. But that is not done over co-op, actually, in this case. But you could translate DSO to normal queries. But yeah. Okay, then let's stick for query.
So we don't need... Sorry, Carsten.
Yeah, we also have status. I have no idea what that is. I have implemented DNS like 15 years ago the last time, so I have forgotten all the data. So I probably only ever implemented opcode 0.
Yeah, so we wouldn't need section 433 any more specific on DNS update, but still, I guess we want the statement that section has right now on that opcode just applied to every opcode different than 0, right?
Correct.
So the should somehow becomes generalized. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the next thing. My review says that it would be nice to have a not implemented example there, which actually could be a DNS update. And then we would see how a not implemented response looks like in DNS.
I mean, that if for DNS update, this is described in the RC, so wouldn't it basically just restate the DNS update RC?
No, I don't think so, because that would imply that that the server understands what the DNS update does.
Okay.
If the server says, like, I can do queries, then the response would probably, I'd guess the response should be something 400. That's a bad request. Sorry, can't deal with that.
Yeah, so does it get a 4-point something response, or does it get a 2.05 with a valid DNS response, which is my next question.
All regarding 4.3.1, your comments. This is basically somewhat the wording we took from DNS over HTTPS. So they already use the term valid DNS response, and also regarding what was the other thing? It's not in the slide. On the serve fail response and stuff, and I think they also used should. I have to look it up, but that would be the only reason why we would use that wording. But yeah, it's basically what it's basically somewhat the same wording that is in RC 8484421. So yeah, either we do the better wording, that's of course something we can do, or use theirs.
Okay, the fact that they didn't get this right doesn't mean that we cannot
Yeah,
get
of
this
course.
right.
I just wanted to give the context why this is at the moment the way it is.
Yeah. Thank you.
And with valid DNS response, it just meant something that is parsable as a DNS response. But yeah, maybe the wording needs to be better there.
Yeah, usually we take a lot of care about defining terms like valid, and I couldn't find the definition of valid anywhere.
I also looked up the DNS terminology RFC, and there valid comes only up in terms of DNSSEC. So yeah, I think we should use a different wording here.
Yeah, and we also have revalidate and so on. This term is used in so many different ways that I think it's best to avoid it. So we would probably say something like DNS response can be created, because there may be other situations where it can't, and then you are using the 4.00 bad requests or something like that. Good. Can you scroll up? Yeah, we just talked about the survey. Yeah, 5.3. This is more of an editorial comment. It's not quite clear what is not recommended. But I think the point here is that we don't want to do direct mapping between CoAP and HTTP. And one of the reasons for that I could imagine, it would be nice to give a reason, would be that all this max-age TTL processing won't work right.
Exactly. I mean, and the fetch method, and yeah, it's basically what's the next sentence is saying.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it could be written more out, yes.
Yeah, we don't have to be extensive about that. We should just give a little bit of a hint why this is not recommended. I mean, it's going to work, it's just not going to work very well. So fundamentally, you can map CoAP to HTTP always, but it's not always the best thing to do. And the last observation I have that is not just editorial, is an editorial observation, because you are using the term unencrypted, where I think you mean unprotected. Encrypted encryption is just one form of protection. And I think mostly you are talking about integrity protection when you're using the word unencrypted. And these two are unrelated. So,
well, in section 6, I actually mean unencrypted CoAP, so like without DTLS or OSCORE. So yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's not that important that it's unencrypted. It's important that it's unprotected.
Okay.
So people can sniff it, spoof it, and so on. And these are things. These are protections that we are actually even more interested in than the actual encryption. So I think it's really important to use these terms in the right way. And of course, then you can become more specific, like integrity protected or confidentiality protected and so on, when you really mean that. But right now, every time you talk about unencrypted, it's not clear whether you actually mean unprotected. Okay, then I sent you a small PR as usual, and there are also some more editorial nits down there where I think it would be good to find better wording. Yeah, we don't prevent requirements. We just make sure that they don't apply. And I don't know what a CoAP resource identifier is. Yeah, nitpicking like that. I think we don't need to discuss this here.
Yeah, on the can't really parse, can you expand on that, Martina? What do you mean?
I have to look up the full sentence myself for a little bit. Check.
Yeah, maybe this just needs a well-placed comma, but I'm also not quite sure what content decoupling is.
Yeah, content decoupling means basically caching in the general sense. So yeah, I think there's a comma missing.
Good, okay.
But yeah, in general, it's about we can't do it like in HTTP.
Okay. In the chat, Christian mentions that we don't have any good example of non-encrypting protection for CoAP. That may be true, but still it's really hard to argue that you need encryption when what you really need is integrity protection.
Yeah, I'm not like I'm with you on that point. It's just harder because that's the state of affairs.
Right.
We should still aim to get it right.
Good. That's all I have.
All right.
Again, this is nearly done.
Any counter question from the authors live at this meeting?
Actually, the very last thing that is there, I don't understand the comment with one more there.
Let me share again. Sorry, I was too fast.
The wording was algorithm to assure the requirement for the DOC.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. Okay, then. Out of context, I'm not sure either, but I will find the sentence and clarify.
So first of all, I don't know whether DOC comes with a definite article and a requirement for the DOC. Not quite sure which one we are talking about here. Assure a requirement. I think you mean meet a requirement, or?
Yeah, I think so. Meet.
Okay.
Or fulfill.
And regarding the definite article, I moved two minds a little bit of that because on one hand side, I don't use it in the draft. I just noticed that it's not I'm missing a word here. Yeah, I mean the official term for DNS is the DNS, and the domain name system, and I might mean that with the DNS for over CoAP, but I think that can be removed as the. It's a little bit overkill at this point. That's true.
Yeah, that's the whole LCD display thing
Yeah.
that we are reopening there, and I think the usual vernacular is to talk about DNS as an uncountable concept. Anyway, so yeah, you will find half a dozen more little nitpicking things in the pull request.
I already scrolled through it, but I didn't find the time yet to read it in depth.
Sure.
So Martina, is it feasible to you to respin this and have a version 12 in the next few days, ideally?
Yes, I'm not sure if I can make it today, but might be. I'm thinking
Okay.
at
Awesome.
the latest tomorrow morning.
Great.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can have a working group last call on that in parallel with DTLS LPN for 2 weeks, and that should give a few days before the cutoff, so some little time should be available to make a revision, maybe not complete, but at least taking advantage of the time left before the cutoff. And for DOC at least, we wanted to have in CC DNSOP and deprive to follow and possibly comment. But of course, mainly for core. Does it work?
Yeah,
for you?
we probably don't want to have them in CC because then every reply to the working group last call gets copied to DNSOP. But we probably want to forward the last call there.
Sounds good. Their replies will have to get to core 2, right? So we should forward asking to re-include core themselves.
Yeah, we can CC core on the forward. We just shouldn't have the any discussion of core specific stuff leak over into the DNSOP mailing list.
Okay, so forward to those with core in CC to that forwarding. That's interesting. We'll do it.
And for good measure, we can set reply to as well.
Right? This is getting advanced. Okay. Okay, so we'll wait for version 12 anytime soon then.
Right. Where are we with the shepherding?
That hasn't started. I don't think we have a shepherd for either documents. So not super urgent, but we have to start thinking about that. If anyone wants to volunteer, please do.
Okay, we have a couple of weeks time for that, but it's always nice to have that defined.
Yeah.
Good. I didn't do a review of the other document, assuming not much has changed there, but I can do that in the working group last call. I just want to make sure we don't have a large number of nitpicking stuff that everybody is bringing up.
Great to hear. Okay, I think this is it for this item, and unless you want to add more items right now, we are at the AOB. So anything more you want to discuss today?
Is there anything we can say about document status at this point?
In general for core?
Yes.
Yeah, there's OSCOR group com, meaning group OSCOR, and group com bis, both proceeding. There was a recent resubmission for group OSCOR that now should be back on the shepherd's hands, meaning Christian, to finalize the write-up as far as I know. And thanks, Christian. Yes, there was an interop, as mentioned in the mail, for the draft reposting, and that's also captured in a section of the new revision. Group Combis is past working group last call, and right now the authors are in the process of addressing more comments from Karsten, for which there is an open PR. And Karsten is shepherd and is in parallel working on the shepherd write-up. So it'd be good that the two documents, if possible, can actually be sent out in parallel to help VADs at the end of the day.
Good, and we probably should mention href.
href2 is also in working group plus call until Monday next week. Speaking of which, please review. It's also mentioned by DOC. Yeah, to take advantage of the way CRIs encode path segments. So, yeah, I think Christian is in mind to review the document already, but yeah, Martine, if you want to, please go ahead. That's very helpful.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Thanks.
Yeah, the shepherd template asks whether this is a small group of people who wants that or the whole working group is behind that. But when you do a second working group last call for something that has been discussed a lot, that doesn't mean you get the whole working group to respond on this. You probably just get responses from people who are very active on this particular document, and that probably will be the case for href as well. So
Right.
if you know people who like this and could just say, I like this, that might be a good response to the working group last call.
And for href, we do have a shepherd already. That's Thomas.
Great.
Yes, I think that's where we are.
Yeah, so I think we are making good progress on several items right now, and that makes me quite happy.
Ditto. Okay, any more AOB, anyone? Cool. So let's get soon the new revisions and talk to you latest in 2 weeks then.
See you then.
Thank you very much
You-
also for the new takers.
Good meeting.
Thanks.
See you.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.